Welcome to episode 24, Contra-Dictions, coming to you live, America. It's a Wednesday night. We're feeling frisky. We got the R versus D, the red versus blue, Trump versus Biden talk tonight. We're going to go at it direct. We got Kenny coming with the fire. How we feeling tonight, Kenny?
What's up? Excited, ready to go. Got all my prep works done. I'm ready to have a good conversation.
Glennon, how you doing, brother?
What's going on, gentlemen? Yep, ready to go. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hump day. Little Trump, little Biden talk. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Yes, sir. So we're going to kick it off with what Trump promised when he first took over the presidency. So I'm going to share the screen real quick and go over the top 10 things. How about we do the first? Let's do the first three. We'll take it section by section. We'll do three at a time. How about that? All right. So let's share the screen. Let's do the Chrome tab. There we go. 10 campaign promises. Trump's 10 campaign promises. All right, here we go. So we got one. Build a wall, temporarily ban Muslims, and bring manufacturing jobs back. So, Kenny, start us off, brother.
Well, first of all, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because PolitiFact is a pretty heavily leaning left site. So if we go back to the first,
I got you.
Yeah, you got to get back. I don't have it on my end now.
Yep, I got you.
Yeah, I had it, and then now I don't have it anymore. Hold on one second. Okay, so number one being build a wall and Mexico pay for it. So first of all, with PolitiFact, we got to take their number one, and then basically this one, it's not a bad one. Fred, I'm going to need you to keep it up, buddy. Because I don't have it. Or give me 1 second, and I'm going to go ahead and get it from.
I was just going to outline it, and you take it from there. They already know I got the three topics. Build a wall, ban Muslims.
Gotcha. Well,
ban Muslims.
Okay. So
and bring manufacturing jobs back. So let's talk about those three.
Okay.
I'm going to let you get the green time.
So first of all, to me, it's just important to note that this one's this isn't bad. This is fair. He definitely said both of these things, but I think it's sometimes when we get into it, it's going to depend on how they wrote it compared to what it really is saying. But he definitely said he's going to build a wall. He definitely said Mexico's going to pay for it. So, I would probably give him a B+ on this. He is building the wall. The wall is, it's about halfway done. It was supposed to cost $15 billion. So right now, they did not pay for it. Okay, they certainly didn't directly pay for it. But it depends if you look at all the different things that he did with Mexico, the agreement that he made with Mexico. He made $65 billion on the deal that he made with them called the USMCA. So he definitely got the money for that. He also helped by leveraging $17 billion in tariffs, which would have paid for the wall had they not done the stay in Mexico, which is where people that were coming from other countries used to be able to go straight into America. And Mexico was like, okay, yeah, we'll let you go on through. And then once we said, hey, look, Mexico, you got to control that or we're going to tax you $17 billion, which was going to pay for more than the wall. And then they took control of it, said, okay, and they actually sent 6,000 soldiers of theirs to the southern border to cut off theirs to kind of help with that process. So, I thought he did not have them pay for it. They did not directly pay for it. I told people the whole time that he wasn't meaning directly pay for it, but there were some people that wanted to hold to that point, which I knew they were never going to write a check for it. But he is building the wall. He has not completed the wall, but he did get a kind of late start. What you got, Glenn?
Yeah, all facts, unfortunately. He definitely did. He did start building the wall. He did start late, but he ultimately did start. And yeah, he was able to rearrange the money, so to speak, to where, it definitely is not coming out of the American people's pockets, directly. So he's he ultimately, I mean, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens, because as of right now, I still don't think that he's going to be able to complete the wall. I think that starting the wall and completing the wall are two different things. But, for all intents and purposes, as of right now, he does have the wall started. And as of right now, we are not paying for it. So I guess I would give him he got a late start. I mean, so I'm going to give him a C. I'll give him a C.
Fair
So
enough.
did Kenny bring up on the Trump wall that Mexico is like putting up their own wall, pre-USA wall?
No, but they had one there, but I'm just trying to stick to the Trump promises.
Okay.
But they had one on their southern border.
I thought Trump had something a little.
I was going to say, I thought they had one already.
They did. They did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They may have strengthened it. I don't know.
All right. So second topic, the ban on Muslims.
Temporarily ban Muslims from entering the United States. Now, first of all,
Bun Muslims.
ban Muslims. But he actually had the same group of countries that Obama had on the list. He just ended up forcing it. But one of the things that what he really wanted to do there was, it's not about banning Muslims. It's about ending the Islamic jihadism that was happening against the United States. And the numbers are actually astounding. Since that, I will tell you, since Trump came into office, there's been 23 people killed by Islamic extremists and 42 shot. In the 4 years before Trump got into office, 84 people were killed and over 400 people were shot. So do we even hear about Islamic extremism in the last 3 years? I mean, hardly ever. So if what they're trying to say here is get a hold of Islamic terrorism, I think he did a bang up job there. I mean, so much to the point that we don't even hear it anymore. What you got, Glenn?
Yeah. So what would your rating be on that if you had to give him a grade?
I'm gonna give him an A on that.
Okay.
I think we can do more because there's still 23 people killed, but yeah, going from 84 to 23 and from 400 to 40. Yeah, I gotta give you an A. Not A plus, but I'll give him an A.
Yeah, I mean, it's you definitely touted some good numbers there. Definitely touted some good points. My only issue is the way that it was executed in terms of holding immigrants behind the border or outside of the border or in border concentration camps. I'm obviously not a good proponent of that. We especially saw that this past holiday season where it was really bad going, over, right after Thanksgiving, going into Christmas. We were seeing a lot of immigrants, being held at the border, being separated by the families, actually American citizens.
But for that, you're talking about the Mexico border, right? Not the Muslim stuff, right?
Yeah, well, it was all immigrants, because it's not just. I mean, it's mainly just Mexicans for sure, but it's carried out on all immigrants. So that's really my only gripe there. And it was even it really just sort of gave. And again, we've talked about it in previous episodes. He can't really control the way law enforcement executes. So
is it his policy or is his mouth that's the problem?
Well, that's the thing, and I think we're teetering the line of both a little bit. So the policy was good. Everything that Kenny said, spot on, and he definitely did. I mean, we don't even hear about, any sort of Middle Eastern terrorism, really. It's not happening here on domestic soil, but he did his thing there.
He's been distracted with too many other problems, though.
Well, and this is the thing. So, and there's people that want to say that, look, Obama didn't leave him with a crap country, not like how George Bush left Obama.
Well, it depends. When it comes to terrorism, he did. I mean, with Obama in office, outside of 9/11, which yes was Bush,
for sure,
walked into that his first 6 months, so our first 9 months after inauguration. So.
Well, of course, and I mean, of course, after Obama killed Osama bin Laden, they found Osama bin Laden, had him killed, and it was still at a heightened state. So, I mean, Trump's done a good job at the end of the day, but he hasn't done a good job in terms of the way that it was executed. you know, we still to this day have concentration camps. We got people dying of coronavirus in concentration camps.
Concentration camps.
I mean, that's a
I think that's a really harsh way of saying when they're allowed to play PlayStation in there, they all get medical attention. I just don't think it's.
I mean, it's
concentration camp. I mean,
they
were built by Obama, so it was under the Obama administration, which is the Biden administration, that they built those camps. So, and actually, when it comes to deporting, if you look it up, Obama aborted. My bad. Deported 3 million people. He averaged 360,000 deportations a year. Whereas,
but Obama deported them. It was very rare that they were held longer than 90 days. During the Obama administration, during the Trump administration, and look, and I don't have an issue. My main issue is them being held because, you know, they're able to play PlayStations at the facilities that Obama built. My issue is that so many are being deported that there's an overflow, and there's now these makeshift camps. I'm not talking about the actual holding facilities that Obama built. There's these makeshift camps that are built, fences, dirt. It's just horrible conditions.
But here's what I just want to make sure that the person that's watching this understands this. The reason they had so many there was because they weren't deporting them. We were trying to give them more people. They figured out the kind of loophole as far as calling out asylum. And so we had to hold them before they would either send them on their way or not. And so they were held for 90 days. So, of course, there was going to be a more concentration of people if we deported less people. So as you're deporting less people because you have more asylum seekers. And so that was an issue. I think that issue has been taken care of largely because of the asylum changes on the southern border that he set up due to that Stay in Mexico Act that he used. And if you remember, and we'll get to that later on in here, but people talked about how terrible that was going to be. These tariffs, there's no way we could tariff. 7 days they gave in. They gave in 7 days, and the Mexican president just met with Trump, and literally called him. People thought we were going to be enemies, but we're actually friends, and that's his quote.
So the third topic, boys. Let's move on to the third
Muslim stuff on the.
Here we go.
Sorry.
Third topic: manufacturing jobs.
Well, I wanted to just get what Glenn's grade was real quick.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, I think on banning Muslims specifically, I gotta give him a B. I gotta give him a B.
All right, bringing manufacturing jobs back. So, and it's funny because if you actually read any of these, it's all that he can't do it. These are very negative. It says down here, it says most experts say Trump won't be able to bring back, and this was written in 2016, mind you, February 2016. Says most experts say Trump wouldn't be able to bring back all 4 million lost manufacturing jobs that have been declining since the 40s. The short answer is that only a small manufacturing number will be back. That's Alan Bender from Princeton University. I'm going to go ahead and share this page, unless I don't know if you have this, the manufacturing.
I do. I have everything you sent me, brother.
Go ahead and bring the manufacturing numbers up.
Let me find which ones you got here.
Sure.
Yep, I got them. Hold on one second. It's coming. Yep. Be patient with me, fellas. It's coming.
Here, I got. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no big deal. So this right here, this is in January. Okay, January of 2019. So this is 3 years in, or 2.5 years in, depending on how you want to judge basically two full years, 18 and 17. And it says enjoying the best manufacturing growth in the last 30 years. Which is just ironic because they pointed out that it's been dropping for 30 years or 40 years. Says it's the same level as it was 69 years ago. So clearly he did bring the manufacturing back. And he actually did it through the USMC deal. And it was just, it was through trade deals and the deal that he did with the European nations about steel and the tariffs. So those things all ended up boosting U.S. when they said it couldn't be done. I mean, these people, we can go ahead and go back to the last screen, Fred, but
yes, sir.
he said he was going to do it, and he did it. And I know that bothers people, but he did do it. And they're all saying it couldn't be done. So for that one, I'm gonna give him at least an A. Yeah, I got to go A+ on that one. I mean, he did exactly what he said he was going to do.
Yeah, I I did a lot of digging, man, a lot of research, bringing manufacturing jobs back. I'm like, man, there's got to be something.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, cool. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Now, like frozen up in the screen.
Nah, you're good.
All right, cool, man. So, yeah, like I was saying, in my research, I'm looking for some sort of chart. I'm looking for something. I'm like, there's got to be something, that shows, a decrease in manufacturing jobs or, maybe stagnation. It's just really not there. Do I really want to blame that on Trump? Yeah, because I mean, he enacted several deals that, several deals that brought back a lot, mainly to the automotive industry,
right?
But brought back a lot of jobs to America. My only gripe is that he himself still. I mean, Trump has his own brand. He's got his own clothing line. He sells dress clothes and things like that. He still has them made overseas, so his own brand is not made here in America.
True.
But in terms of so it's not like he's bringing back like textile jobs. So when you think of this, and I think most people think back, they're thinking about the cotton mill. They're thinking about, people making, jeans and the sort of things that cost a little bit more money marginally to make when you talk about profit and loss, as opposed to automobiles and things like that. Like, yeah, he's brought back big business. He's brought back big business in terms of warehouse, but he hasn't brought back a lot of those like textile industries and things like that, if you will.
Fair.
So for that, I'll give him a B. I mean, he's done what he said he's going to do at the end of the day. I mean, there's going to be some holes in everything, and I really kind of hate to admit it. But
yeah, it was funny that I found this thing. The next one's imposed tariffs on goods in China and Mexico. I was going to try to break those up a little bit. It's funny because he used tariffs to negotiate in both instances. In the China instance, China did not agree to it, and because of that, we actually got $75 billion based on the tariffs. And on Mexico, they did buckle, so we didn't get the $17 billion, and instead we got $68.2 billion out of the USMCA. And I think it's important. People always want to go at him, and they continue to forget that this guy can negotiate. His deal-making skills were actually so good that he went to Mexico. One of the reasons the Mexican president and him are getting along so well is because basically the Mexican president was like, we're getting killed on our oil, called up Trump. Trump said, hey, this is how you negotiate that. And then they ended up negotiating the deal for them because Trump knows he needs Mexico on his side. So people think maybe he hates this group or hates it. He is always, and I'm not saying it's always the right thing, but because some of it's propaganda for sure.
Absolutely.
But he uses that in order to be able to get these trade deals done. And so it's just interesting. He actually was set to impose tariffs on both of them. Now, if you read the article, what does the old George W. Bush and Barack Obama U.S. trade representation say? He says, oh, if we do this, it could cause a trade war and cost hundreds and thousands of jobs. Now, I'm going to give Trump a B on this. The only reason I'm not going to give him an A is because this might be why we have coronavirus. I'm just keeping it 100. I can't back off of it now. But go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, we've talked about it in the past. I mean, at least I have. I've brought it up. I don't really have many good things to say about Trump personally because I really just don't like I don't like
the man.
Yeah, that's really what it is. I don't question a lot of what he's doing politically. I know we talked about taxes and things like that, but in this instance in particular, by him putting a tariff on China, that was I mean, he's the first president to ever do that in our lifetime. I mean, I don't know if people realize that we owe China like $21 trillion.
Yeah.
So China has
there's
been
a
producing
little Netflix documentary on obviously Netflix, but it shows how China was this poor country until the mid 80s. Then all of a sudden they took interest in all America, came over, started watching our rodeos and paying attention to the old West. The next thing you know, and now all of a sudden they're buying all our properties, making all our movies, and now they're all pro-American because they own every fucking thing.
Right. They own everything, including guys, big pharma. They make all of our medicine pretty much. They make
those toys we got back in the 80s on the bottom. It said made in China. Now you get pills that say that shit.
That is both parties sold out. Both parties completely sold out.
They follow the money. I mean, look, it's a greedy business. It's a shady industry. I don't think anybody's going to argue that. And that kind of comes with the territory when you're talking about that kind of money. I mean, it's like hedge fund money. I mean, it's ridiculous. $1 million a month bonuses and stuff like that, and more. But yeah, in terms of Trump putting a tariff on China, I think that was really, really good. I mean, nobody has stood up to China. No president in our lifetime has stood up to China like that. And what people actually don't realize is that if a president didn't stand up to China, really at the time that it happened, China would really own America. I mean, like literally own America within the next decade. People have no idea. Like, we would have started seeing Chinese flags flying over here and stuff like that. It probably would have gotten crazy. I mean, or the next World War III or something like that.
All we did was delay the inevitable.
I was gonna say
we haven't stopped it today, but how we respond to this whole thing is going to be interesting in the next 2 years.
Right. I mean,
we just put a little hemorrhaging on it. You know what I'm saying?
They're still on pace to take over. They're still on pace to take over.
Of course.
We got a lot more needs to be done.
Yeah. Next topic. Here we go.
A lot more that needs to be done. But yeah, so my grade on that. I'll give them a B+.
Oh, okay. There we go. So go ahead. You want to read number 5, Fred?
Yes, sir. So renegotiate or withdraw from North American Free Trade Agreement and Trans-Pacific Partnership. I'm pretty sure he did that.
He did both. And what's funny is if you go down and read, it says countries like Mexico and Canada would have a list of things they'd want from the U.S. They're balanced and hard to negotiate agreements. Not only did he did both, most objective, again, because I went back and made sure that the articles I was reading was by people that don't like Trump, and they pretty much agree across the board. America won both those deals big time. So
open and shut case.
Yeah.
I mean, he did it.
He did it. I mean, that's it. 6.
Next text.
Repair of Obamacare. What'd you give on that one? What grade did he get? He did do both. Dead ringer.
What was that? What grade did I give him on 6?
Come on. Yep.
Full repeal of Obamacare?
No. 5. This is going to be a worse one, but.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I'm gonna give him an A on that.
No, on the renegotiate, getting rid of the TPP.
The last
the last one. Yeah. He gets an A.
Okay. Full repair of Obamacare and replace it with a market-based alternative. This will probably be my lowest grade, but I think what he did do, which was get rid of the individual mandate, which is what most people were concerned about. And Democrats really kept saying that he was going to get rid of pre-existing conditions. He did not. He's been adamant about protecting pre-existing conditions, which is contrary to what people were saying that he was going to do. So there was, and he hasn't had a new one yet. They supposedly put one out, I want to say in like February, but then with all this going on, it hasn't made it through the House. So he definitely hasn't replaced it with a market-based alternative. By the fact you took the individual mandate, it actually did go back to where you can. So I'm happy with what he did, but he definitely needs to come up with a more comprehensive plan, and they have not done that. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a C- on this one.
Yeah, he hasn't come up with any sort of alternative. there's a part of me. I mean, him getting rid of the mandate, he didn't like totally abolish Obamacare, but him getting rim of the mandate, it really crippled it. And even though Obamacare did help roughly about 20 million people that were uninsured become insured, him getting rid of the mandate, about 5 million people lost their insurance. So I mean, there's still.
And I'm gonna tell you why that's so great. But go ahead.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not like, I mean, we just got to be honest here. Look, guys, sometimes I am not a Trump supporter.
Right.
You know, and like I don't like Trump. You know, you got to be honest and report on the stuff honestly. I mean, he you know, more people still gained health insurance rather than lost it, and my whole thing is I don't think that he really got rid of the mandate. I mean, his intent is to abolish Obamacare. He doesn't want it at all. That's his intent. And he knows he won't be able to do that, so he went after the mandate and he got it. That's pretty.
But the mandate, the reason why I think that's so important for people to recognize how important that was is because people like myself who are self-insured, when Obamacare came, they wanted to make me buy a $900 a month plan.
Right.
And me, I had always bought a cheap, and because I'm never sick. So then I would buy the Aflac and I would supplement it. So like once every 5 years I would get sick, they would pay me, and then I would use that to pay my little illness that I had. And I'll give you a great example. When I got COVID, if I would have got COVID, let's say 3 years ago, then I would not have had insurance, but I would have had my supplemental insurance. So I would have got about $4,000 back, but I would have never went and stayed in the hospital for a week. I wouldn't have. I know I wouldn't have. I don't feel like my life was in danger. So I did it because I had insurance and I could. So, here's a couple of things that people might not know, because again, I'm in the insurance industry. So if you didn't, I actually had mine lapse when I was paying $900 a month. Well, then they charged me $700 a month after that. And once you have it lapse, you can't just get another one and have them you literally would have to pay the $700 every month for penalty and pay the $900. So they had some real flaws in, if you ever lapsed your insurance, you're stuck. You're basically stuck uninsured, but then the numbers come out, they're going to show you insured because it does it at the beginning of the year based on who purchased insurance, whether or not you have it or not.
We got a comment about the Obamacare situation. What do you guys think here? We got Jacob. It's unconstitutional, period. What do we think? Is it unconstitutional?
Technically not, but I do understand the sentiment, the sentiment rather. No, but it's just to answer the question, it's not unconstitutional. But the fact that, I mean, he went after healthcare. I mean, why not another industry, roofing, or you know what I mean, something like that. Going after healthcare.
But the thing is that you caused a lot of people like myself. Then, because of the penalty, I couldn't get more insurance. And then you're forcing me to get coverage. You're forcing me to pay $700, $900 a month. And that's not what it costs for me. So now I'm paying for the smoker next door. Now
I think Jacob's point was exactly Kenny's point, is that he was forced to do that.
The sad part is, I would say that it's kind of unconstitutional because you're forcing someone to purchase something, but they do it all the time. So it's not, I'm not saying it's right, but you have to have auto insurance, right? You have to have, there are certain regulations that the government makes you purchase stuff. By the law of the Constitution, that's all illegal, but they do it. So they brought it before the Supreme Court and passed. So
I have Kenny's took the words right out of my mouth, brother.
I have Kenny's grade on Obamacare, and I'm sorry I didn't keep track to start the first two. And I don't want you guys to rebut and say what you said for your first two grades and get it wrong. So I apologize, but I have your grades from 3 down, and I will share on the show if he gets on a roll or not. But Obamacare, I have Kenny at C-. Glenn, what do you have?
For Obamacare, because I think that he just wanted, a part of me feels like he wants to get rid of it, like for personal reasons, because he just like doesn't like Obama.
Okay. So grade him, baby. You can be harsh.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna give him a D- on that one, man. I'm gonna give him a D-.
He hasn't really attacked it though. He's kind of left it since he did it.
All right,
I mean,
yeah.
they're out in the house.
Yeah.
They get
let's
stomped.
go on to number 7, the Iran deal.
The Iran
Right.
deal. I mean, he abolished it, and it's funny because they thought he was going to have to renegotiate. If you read this little piece right here, it says that they feel like they could renegotiate a better plan, but Iranians, it was not a good deal. We gave them a lot of cash and like a bundle of cash. Like it was just the follow-ups were not good. At this point, there's been no downside to it. I do think that we need to have a better nuclear deal with them. So the fact that we have not redone a new deal, I'm going to take some credit away from them, but we definitely had to get the hell out of that. So I'm going to give them a B-.
Yeah, I think the Iranian deal, I think that's part of the reason why people really leaned away from Joe Biden. I think that a lot of people feel like Obama/Biden kind of just handed nuclear weapons to Iran on a silver platter. I guess it is how you look at it. But yeah, he totally got rid of the Iranian deal. I mean, it hasn't really hurt anything.
So, I mean, Iranian deal, how much money did we actually give to Iran? Wasn't it like close to like did I hear $1 billion?
Yeah, it's close to $1 billion, I believe.
Yeah, I thought it was more than $1 billion. I thought it was $5 billion.
Like
I
saw a
$5
pallet
billion.
full of cash. I saw a pallet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was $5 billion.
Oh man, I should.
Which is crazy.
I mean, it was a chunk of change. I remember seeing some like good hard American greenbacks sitting on like a nice Walmart.
It was 150 billion.
Oh,
Yo, my gosh! Holy cow!
I was just short.
Just a hair short. 100.
Holy cow!
It's an A+.
Holy cow!
Gosh,
Look, I knew it was in the billions, but my goodness.
gosh,
Man, I could start an NFL dynasty with that kind of money.
150 billion. Where the fuck do we?
I mean, that's enough to buy some whole countries, man.
I mean, shit.
It makes me think like this is the time, and I'm not a liberal right now, but if we have 150 billion to give to Iran, why do we have student debt?
Like, fuck.
Like,
Right.
Jesus,
Why is China making our medicine again?
gosh, damn, that
Christ.
was not what I wanted to see right there. That shit's gonna make me sick.
Yeah, right. All right. So
Yeah.
what was your grade?
150 billion.
Look, I'm gonna give him a
Wow.
B only because he ain't make him give us the money back.
Right. So, Glenn, I got Kenny with a B from Iran. What are you going to give on the Iran deal, brother?
Yeah, I'll give him a B.
Okay. So, moving on.
Give him a
I'll
B.
bring it up here. I'll bring it back up. Bring it back up. Here it comes. We're moving on to the next one, Social Security.
This one's funny because it's the #1 lie that both parties tell. Nothing happened to Social Security.
I was gonna say nothing.
Nothing. He
Leave
did
Social
leave it.
Security as is. Nothing happened to Social Security at all.
He left it exactly like it is. So that's an A. It's perfect. He didn't do anything with it. And it's so funny because Republicans always say that about Democrats when they get in there too. They're going to attack Social Security. There's a lot of old
Every
people.
party does it. Every
Glenn?
party does it.
Glenn,
Every
you're
single
great.
party does it. Yeah, I'll give him an A.
All right. So, the next one's cutting taxes.
Okay, so he definitely cut taxes a little bit on the tax cut. It saved the average middle class. It saved 82% of middle class people saw tax cuts. 20% of small businesses saw tax cuts. He gave a lot of tax cuts to the rich, which typically happens because they needed to boost the economy. And then after he did that, they had 3.1 quarter of domestic growth. So, I actually think he should have done more. And I'll tell you some things in it I don't like. I didn't like the extra $1,000 tax credit for children. I know everybody likes that. I didn't. I just think you're paying people to have kids. And if you have kids, it's your responsibility to pay for your kids. So I don't like that. I thought we spent in that bill, we had to basically earmark money for the military that I think we spent a little bit too much on, even though I'm a pro-military guy. So I would have liked to see more tax cuts for those small businesses than just 20%.
Yeah.
But he did cut taxes. He did what he said he was going to do. There was definitely things about the plan I didn't like. So I'm going to give him a B-.
Yeah, there's things about the plan I didn't like as well too, and I think it just really depends on on the personal and on the individual, like personally where they were at. You know, do they have kids? Do they not have kids? I think really kind of that's the biggest one, because since Trump's come into office, you know, with him giving that tax credit for kids, and then he did away with I forget what it's called, but you can't like claim your like mileage and stuff like that anymore. So it kind of offsets, but the $1,000 a child, like it, I know a lot of Americans, it just wasn't enough to compensate for that, for a lot of Americans. But the tax code in and of itself, I'll always say, man, like the tax code, it's unnecessarily lengthy.
And like it makes you want to not file taxes.
I am 100% behind closing it. Like,
well, yeah. It doesn't need to be like, I mean, and I understand some things, but even for me, like owning a small business, I mean, I got more tax cuts the 2019 year than I ever have. But you know, I do a lot of things.
You don't have that guy that knows all those in and outs, or that woman that knows all those in and outs. You're screwed.
Yeah, well, I have that guy. That's what I'm saying, and I do a lot of other things throughout the year to kind of offset.
Everybody has that guy.
I mean, there's ways to create tax shields and tax bubbles and things like that.
They need to flat tax it. They need to make more consumption taxes. That way, the rich will actually pay their fair share because they're going to buy more stuff. I'm big on consumption taxes. We can have another episode about that, but we got to get the hell out of this. It is way too antiquated of a system. I mean, good gracious, it's ridiculous. And then
it's just very lengthy.
Comments we're going to get to after we go over number 10 and give out the final report card. All right. So we're going to get to the audience here in a few minutes, but let's finish out the report card. All right. So Kenny gave B- on the tax cuts, and Glennon, what are you giving on the tax cuts?
I'll give him a C. I'm gonna give him a C.
Okay.
I would actually give him higher than me on that one. I thought I was
Last one I want you guys to review for the audience is we're gonna go with oil in the U.S. Here we go.
Well, actually, first of all, it says bomb and or take the oil from ISIS. First off, and don't get me wrong, there was things that Obama started to do. But then I felt like he got off track in the Middle East and kind of lost some focus there. Trump definitely came in with an eye towards that. And in less than 2 years, the caliphate was destroyed. So, I mean, to be able to eliminate the caliphate of ISIS, I mean, I can't not give him an A+ for this. I think it was probably the best thing he's done as president. So you look at our oil prices. He actually, instead of just taking their oil, after we destroyed them, we did, opened up some oil here, and our gas prices have been low for his whole presidency. So, bomb and take oil from ISIS. I think bombing ISIS, he gets the W on that. So I'm going to go ahead and give him an A.
Yeah. Oil prices have been pretty consistent across the board, especially during the pandemic, and they were actually lower than what they've ever been. But, there's a couple other things that factor into why that happened as well during the pandemic. But, really, we haven't seen them, at least where I'm at, we haven't seen them over $2. It's been few far in between. I don't know how much gas is where you're at, Kenny, but it's
$2, $2.03.
Oh, so it is over the $2 mark where you're at?
Just barely, yeah. I think I paid $2.03 or $2.04 today.
Okay, yeah, it got to like $1.96, which is the closest I've seen in a long time. But yeah, he definitely did it. I mean, he definitely did it. He definitely bombed ISIS. He definitely took their oil. He said he did what he said he was going to do there. I think that was probably one of his main objectives that he wanted to do coming into president. Because not only did he do it, but he did it fast. It was one of the first things that he did as soon as he got into office. So, he wasn't messing around there. But yeah, I'll go ahead. And I'll give him a B+.
Okay.
This is 10 things so I brought this up on the Trump side. We'll get to Biden here shortly, but these are 10 things that if you read this article, that they say he can't do that he's promising. And then their answer was because he was vague. But this dude did, whether we give, he got no Fs, he got no Ds, maybe one D, I don't remember.
He got one D.
Yeah, he got one D.
But the rest of it, I mean, the fact that he accomplished all that, and most of this was done in less than 2.5 years, because none of this was completed after COVID took over.
And it's Russia.
2.5 years. And I've been following a lot of politicians. I understand why people don't like him. I understand why he has, he's not the most eloquent speaker in terms of making sure, and they chop him up some, and he gives them the ammo to shoot him with. But this guy did more than and again, just looking at politicians, they never do what they're going to say. I found this in 2016. I'm looking through it. I'm like, dude, he did like all this stuff. And this doesn't even have the Jerusalem or the, moving the,
So out of 8 grades, I couldn't get the first 2. I apologize, boys. I didn't think about it until after we got through the first 2. But I have your 8 grades from 3 down. What do you think?
Minus for me. Second one was A, just for me.
All right, go ahead. What was it? First one?
The first one was build a wall and have Mexico pay for it.
Yep.
I gave him a B because he didn't really have Mexico pay for it, even though the things. And then banning Muslims as far as shutting down the jihadists. Yep. I gave him a plus. All
right, so Glenn, I don't know if you can remember. If you can,
I gave him a B because of the concentration camps he lumped into that one. Is that correct?
Yeah, I gave him a C for the wall.
A C for the wall and a B for that one.
Yeah.
So give me 2 more minutes and I'll come back with a GPA. Keep it going.
All right, go ahead. Start off why he's doing that. We'll go ahead and get kicked into Biden. So you want to start that?
Yeah, well, with Biden, I mean, and I don't know if you want to go off of the same 10 categories. I mean, Biden he hasn't had a presidency to. I mean, he's vice president is not. You're kind of a yes man, really. At that stage, you don't have any real power as vice president. But Biden hasn't said that he wanted to build a wall or anything like that. So I guess he would definitely get an F there. But no, well, I guess what we'll talk about is some hypothetical things. This is the thing. Biden hasn't really come out recently and done like a full-fledged interview in terms of if he were to become president, what he would do or what some of his policies are, what are some things that he holds staunch to. So it was really kind of difficult to do a Trump versus Biden. I think on the surface it sounds cool, but this is the thing. I think it's going to be an interesting conversation, and I'll get your opinion on it as well too, Kenny. But I know you had touted some poll numbers, and I mean, look, polls aren't shit. Like, they're not worth a damn. But I think you said that they were even. The poll numbers that I got had Biden up 10 points. Oh, in Georgia. Okay. Nationally, Biden's up
47 was today's in Georgia.
Okay, it was 51-41 Biden nationwide. So he's up 10 points, which is a lot. Like that's pretty considerable. Now again, polls don't mean much. What I want to know is, and we all know that most people plan on voting for Biden simply because they don't like Trump. It's not like they're voting for Biden because they really are gung-ho about his policy, or they genuinely are backing him. And that is actually really sad because you're voting against something. You're just voting for Biden to go against Trump rather than just voting for something. Whatever happened to the true American, voting for someone's values. And has it got to the point to where we have 2 candidates that don't speak to majority values of Americans?
I will tell you this: Trump has very high numbers when it comes to in comparison with Biden. People invigorated about voting for him. Now there is an invigoration.
It's like 70-30
against Trump, not pro-Biden.
Right.
Biden's pro-Biden numbers are very low when it comes to the energy of it. But I guess all I would say
38%.
That the most thing that you hear is always about, especially in this time period, it's about the race stuff. But I just want people to understand that Biden said this. He said, and I quote, he said, the most racist concept you can even come up with. And you know what he was referring to? School integration. Okay. He was an anti-integrationalist. Okay. And he wasn't anti from the standpoint that, oh, you know, people should have the freedom to, no. He was trying to kiss the asses of the racist left at the time. And he had no problem doing that. To me, I don't care if you're 30 and you do that. I have a hard time believing that you're going to start rolling away from that. He also called President Obama the first sort of Main Street African-American that's articulate, bright, and clean. Like, can you imagine if Trump had said that? That thing would be uncycled on the bottom of our video right now without our permission. It would just be going. I mean, the things, and people always pick out the things that Trump said, and I feel like I can make all those same arguments when it comes to race. I mean, telling people you're not black if you don't vote for this, like, who the are you to tell somebody who they can vote for regardless of their skin color? So
yeah,
you know,
I got to be honest with you, you know, because I don't like Biden either. And you know, when you talk to a lot of people that plan on voting for Biden, they'll actually tell you that they don't like him,
right.
which is kind of sad. But Biden has, you know, you take somebody like a Bernie Sanders, for example. You know, when Bernie Sanders is talking about civil rights, he's not pandering for the black vote. You know what I'm saying? Like he's his black card, if you will, or his civil rights card is stamped. It's solid.
It's legit.
It's approved. It is legitimate. He's not pandering for the black vote. Biden is pandering. He's lied about his involvement in the civil rights movement. He lied about sitting in on movie theaters to desegregate them, and you know, sitting at the Rialto and things like that. Just straight up lies. Look, Biden, you didn't give me much ammo to go off of to kind of fight for you. You know what I'm saying?
And I think the consensus is that most people believe he won't last 4 years, that someone else is going to take over before his 4-year tenure.
And I think that is a shame, because I do believe that whether he makes it or not.
I don't really believe that. I think
January, or no, what is it? July 29th, 2020 on Contra-Dictions, that if Biden gets elected, his vice president will take over within the 4 years. It said live in my press.
Yeah, I think he can make it through a 4-year term. I think he can make it through a 4-year term. Now 8 years might be pushing it, but I think he can make it through
4 years.
Term.
I mean, I really believe I'm a little frustrated because he hasn't even given me anything to. You know, I was searching. I don't even know what his platform is. He said he agrees with the new Green Deal, but not exactly. He says he agrees with some of the ideals behind defunding police, but he won't call it defunding police because he doesn't want to lose the people that don't believe in defunding police vote. So he's like the most well, I agree that we need to move money from one. You know, he says kind of what you described defunding police as, but he won't use the term defunding police because he knows it'll get him. He just is he's been in there 40 years. He's most known, as you both know, for the 3 strike law. He did the 3 strikes laws federally, and then the way he set it up federally, most states, I want to say it was like 34 states, 32 states, something like that, integrated that same system. And then now they try to say, well, you can't look at the state numbers. The federal numbers, it wasn't all that bad. It's like, well, that is where they got it from. Right. And then he had a surrogate come out and say, oh, well, he was only talking about rapists and murderers. Oh, those should get 3 strikes? Hey, look, I'm sorry you raped somebody, but go ahead. You get 2 more shots at it. That doesn't even make sense. Like, he's so full of shit, you can't even get to what he's actually doing. And we're talking about compared to Trump, and Trump's full of shit too, right? So you're talking about somebody that has been 40 years.
Somebody with the tenacity of a Trump, but like the tact of like a general, then we would be okay. I mean, you know what I mean? Like if he would just talk like a politician, nobody would hate him so bad. He just can't help himself.
And Glenn, I mean, I'll give you the floor in a second. What do you really think at this time when we're literally talking about police brutality every freaking day, and the guy that is like the linchpin of the policies that have crushed the black community for 30 years or for 20 years?
Can't make a comment.
Well, I mean, he's been in office. Biden's been in office for 44 years. I think like 44.
40
Like the
something.
better, yeah, it's like the better half of 50 years, like 44
is he
years.
still alive? I haven't heard from him.
Yeah. That's what I was just saying last time.
His last interview with, and this is no knock on the kid, but it was like a quadriplegic kid blowing his questions into this thing that would speak it. And look, I have no problem with that, but the whole idea that you're doing that instead of sitting down with someone that, I mean, that guy's gonna have a hard time challenging him. Like, go sit down.
Right.
But Trump sat with Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace hates him. I think we all know that, right? That's no secret. And Trump still went and sat down with him. It's like, where the hell is Biden? Like, and I think it's because he's hiding from answering the questions that I just asked you.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't really think he's necessarily hiding from answering the questions. I think that there's something going on medically. I think that there's something that he's trying to get through or get over or push through or tough out, whatever you want to call it. And
I mean, if they're trying to push this guy through with the mental illness, that's just wrong.
Yeah, well, does he have a mental illness? He doesn't have a
I don't know.
No,
I don't.
mental illness.
No, but hang on. I do want to point this out that Trump basically called him out to test and see if he gets as high a score as he did. And then CNN's broadcast team was making fun of him. And Don Lemon didn't know the difference between a hippo and a rhino.
Yeah.
You can't make this shit up, dude. I mean.
Yeah, he kind of made himself look silly. A little silly. I mean, a little silly there.
Yeah, I think
I saw that.
Cognitive decline. I think they're keeping him away because I think they don't want to have a debate. I don't even know what they would debate on.
So listen, last election with Hillary, everybody hated Hillary. That's why they voted for Trump, because she couldn't keep her foot out of her own mouth. All right. This time, they're not letting Biden do that. They're keeping him locked up so he can't make the same mistake, which is it's true. Like, he can't make the same mistake as Hillary. So everybody's like, listen, now we blame Orange Man bad for everything. Everything he's doing right now is Orange Man bad. So now you can be like, okay, I'm not voting for him because I can vote for this nice guy who's not out there making a fool of himself. And it's the truth.
Well, let me say this. Trump's approval rating amongst the Black or the African American community has gone up 4 points. He's at 12% right now in the Black community. Was at 8% in the 2016 election. So he's up 4 points amongst the Black community. Not only that, but Trump right now, he's really pushing to reopen schools. And in my opinion, I think that he wants to, I think he wants to boost the economy. He obviously knows that parents aren't going to be able to go to work unless kids go back to school. So I think that's where his thought process is there. I still am not. I mean, I have kids. I got a shit ton of them. Pregnant wife. I'm not sending my kids to school. I'm not going to do that, at least for the first 9 weeks. And thankfully we have that option. But it's.
I agree with that. I think it's up to the parents. If they want to send them and the school is open, they should be allowed to send them. Yeah. Or they should be allowed to stay home. They should be allowed either way.
It's up to them. You should be able
to. That's the libertarian in all of us. I mean, they should have the option. And that's what freedom is about. So, but apparently, I think in Trump's mind, I think that him reopening the schools is his sort of ticket, if you will, to being reelected. Because people really don't like the way that he has handled the coronavirus pandemic. I mean, he gets a lot of criticism.
Which is crazy to me because they blame the one man, and it's not the one man epidemic.
It's not. I mean, look, there's no country that's really handled it well. You know what I'm saying? Like, where
in our country, it's so funny when people try to compare other countries when we've got so many more people than all countries but two. I mean. And then
we're like
it's very different because we're not going to have one loop because we're essentially like 8 countries spread out.
Well, I don't agree necessarily with the way Trump has handled the coronavirus either. Just in terms of his rhetoric and what he like even just recently over the past, we talked about it over the past week, but going on national TV and saying that it's going to just disappear and we need to get back to life as usual. We all know we need to get back to life as usual. What exactly does that mean? And I'm not, because there's an argument. Does quarantining work? Do masks work? All these things that they're having us do, does it work? And people keep talking about a second surge, but we really never got out of the first one, to be honest with you. So,
here's the thing, right? We did because it's not a country. It is the states. Each state has had their own run. So
see, I feel like, of course, each state has had its own run, but nationwide, and that's one thing that Republicans do as well. When it's convenient, it's a state thing, and then when it's also convenient, it's a government or a federal thing or an entire country. It's an all-inclusive thing.
Well, we had.
I mean, you look at Florida. We've already looked. There hasn't been two births. There was one. Maryland, one. Pennsylvania, one. New York, New Jersey, one. So these places are not all having a resurgence. There's been one boost in every single state. I think I found one state where there was maybe a little hiccup of one, and I can't remember. I think it was California, but there was one in Texas.
Yeah, most of them are actually like that. They're kind of low, blue, a little something, then they shoot straight up, or they shoot up in the beginning and then they come down.
I'm talking about deaths. If you're talking about deaths, and again, the deaths have gone lower and lower. That's why you haven't heard it in the last couple of days even more. They faded away because even the cases started going down again, and the deaths stayed down. They didn't jump up like we talked about.
Yeah.
We'll have another episode on that. But in terms of
and the deaths are the main number too, because the deaths are the only true accurate number. I mean,
because someone's dead, we know they're dead, and they can only be overcounted. They can't be undercounted, because if they died and they think it's that, they're putting that. So it's
for sure. But yeah, I mean, just in terms of the coronavirus, there are a lot of people. I mean, especially even on the left as well as the right, that do not approve of Trump's handling of this pandemic. And of course, that's an entire episode in and of itself. I think you guys know where I stand and where Kenny stands, as well as Fred. But as far as Biden, I mean, what would Biden do? He hasn't really said.
I don't know what
he would do.
Well, he said it was racist to shut down the borders when this thing first came up. So it's hard for you to say, hey, you wouldn't shut down the flights in, and then all of a sudden later on you're like, oh no, but I got to take it really seriously. It's like, but you didn't take it seriously in the first 2 months when it would have gone even more ravaged. So I mean, it's all speculation. Let's be honest. If somebody hates Trump, they're going to say he did a bad job. If you love Trump, you're going to say he did a pretty good job. It's a disease, so nobody's going to say I think he did a fantastic job. And anybody that thinks it's all his fault is out of their mind. So
anybody that tuned in tonight, we did go into detail with Trump, and we will go back into detail with Biden on a later episode. It's just hard because he hasn't been out and about lately. So it's
we don't have much information to really go into detail. I mean, if you want, we can talk about the things that he was able to do when he was vice president, or we can even go back because he actually got more accomplished during the Clinton administration than he did when he was vice president. I mean, he did more things. As a senator, I mean, he
was considered Law and Order Joe back then. Yeah. So it's kind of funny that now, in the midst of this, he's running. That's why I don't think he wants to talk, because
all I remember
were that.
All I remember is Crazy Joe.
Yeah, Crazy Joe. Yeah, Law and Order Joe really isn't.
Or Sleepy Joe.
Well, they call him Crazy Joe, but he was on the floor arguing for harsher sentences, arguing death penalty, arguing for, all these things that were, all that whole crime bill period of time. I mean, that was when he was on the TV all the time.
And the crime bill, just in case people don't know, the crime bill has put away more black men probably than any other piece of legislation, I would say, in our lifetime.
All right, so before we wrap,
even more than the war on drugs.
Before we wrap up, let's just go over a few comments from the fans real quick, because they always tune in, and we gotta appreciate them real quick. Nikki Nixon, we got her coming in. Coronavirus is real, but it's not as serious as they make it out to be. It's a flu, not a plague. I bet once voting is over, the corona, where'd it go? Just like the killer bees. So what do you think?
I know somebody on here said that their best friends, somebody died, somebody's wife's best friend died. I'm sorry to hear that. Everyone that I know that has had it has lived. It really does seem like it's falling between flu and pneumonia, but much more contagious. I definitely don't think it's as big of a deal. It's a big deal. I mean, if 99.9% of people die and you have 300 million people, that's a lot. That's a big number. But I definitely think that that it was made to be this thing that was going to kill like 30% of our population. Some of the numbers I saw were crazy. But what do you think, Glenn?
Yeah, I just think that we really people shouldn't be so quick to just rush to judgment on this whole thing. But yeah, definitely, I think Nikki does have a point. I mean, the coronavirus is serious. I know a lot of people that have it. A lot of people even in my family that have it. Currently have it, which is crazy. Everybody seems to be pulling through. I even have some elderly and things like that that are pulling through with it. So. And
they've gotten better, I think, the doctors, and I mean, it's not brand new now,
Yeah, and Nikki did bring up a counterpoint right here, real quick. But she said that let's bring it up real quick. She said all the ERs are empty, and people are being misdiagnosed, and I think that's probably one of the key problems that's going on right now. Is a lot of deaths are being contributed to COVID that aren't really COVID related. That hurts the numbers. We don't get real numbers. So people are getting crazy. They don't know what's going on. And that's what's leading to, everyday arguments that we see on social media. I mean, I know you deal with it. I deal with it. People on our social media, you post something. Next thing you know, their detectives fact checking saying, that person doesn't know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? It's like, Jesus, all you're trying to do is put something out there saying, hey, look, here's the other side. You want to believe it? Fine. You don't want to believe it? Don't believe it. But damn, you put something out there, it's like, you're the problem. Like, I
can't believe it. That was crap. Like, look, if you don't like it, you don't like what the lady has said some crazy things in the past. I know a lot of crazy people that have said crazy things. Is what she said true or false? It's that simple. Like, is it true? Is it not true? Is there people that at her place that did die and she's saying they didn't? Like, somebody's got to know that. You're not going to hide it if they died. I mean,
right.
There's a funeral home. There's families. Somebody can be like, what? My grandmother had it at hers. She gave her that shit and she died. Well, thanks.
Well, right. Hey, another great episode here. Wednesday night. Let's wrap things up. What do you say, fellas? Hey, Glenn, what do you know? Let's start it off. What do you got for us?
Well, as much as I don't like Trump, I really, in the heat of the moment and discussing specific topics in terms of what he's been able to do, when it comes to boosting the economy, when it comes to the wall, all of these different things. I mean, he had a late start on the wall, things like that, but I mean, he's getting it done. I'm not for the wall, but I mean, it's just talking about him doing what he said he was going to do. He has definitely done most of what he said he's going to do in his first term. As much as I hate to say it, and I just hate to say it because I just don't like the damn Trump, but in Biden, we really don't know a lot about what's going on with Biden. He actually hasn't made a television appearance in over 120 days. So we really don't know what's going on with him. I don't know, what his policies are, like what his hard stances are on certain things. And in order to sort of do a Trump versus Biden or any sort of comparison, I would have been forced to go back to when Biden was a vice president. And he really didn't do much. Again, he kind of did more, even when, like when he was a senator. And I mean, like the crime bill and things like that. I mean, that's a pretty major piece of legislation that was enacted in our lifetime. So, again, Trump, I think you got a pretty good report card for the day, but that's just for the day. And too bad we didn't talk about your character, because if we had talked about your character, you'd have been the ugliest thing walking. You got an F minus. But that's all I got for the day. I'm going to turn it over to you, Kenny.
Hey, what's everybody? First of all, I appreciate you guys coming out tonight. Today, one of the reasons why I took the angle with the Trump version that I did is that, people can like him or not like him. They can argue over what things he said. I believe the media really skews that. So what I wanted to do was see if the man did what he said he was going to do. Now, if you disagree with those things that he did, then you certainly don't vote for him. But I wanted to put the focus on the fact that he is a get-it-done person. He's done so much more than we even discussed. But those were 10 things that they said he could not do that he promised to do. And he did all 10 of them. Some other things is he got $100 billion into NATO from countries around because they weren't putting in money. He finally held China accountable for stealing intellectual property. I mean, he rolled back the Cuba deal that Obama put into place that was going directly into the pocket of the people that were holding down their citizens there. I mean, there's so many things that he did, and I'm so grateful that we do have a president who it says and does what he says. And I appreciate that. On the character thing, it depends. I've never met the man, and I've seen his words taken out of context so many times. It's very hard to believe. There's certain things he said I certainly don't agree with. There's policies that he's done that he did them. He said he was going to do them, and he did them, and I still don't agree with them. And that's what it's going to come down to. We're going to look at the candidates. I don't know anything about Biden outside of that he did very little in 40 years, and what he did do was extremely racist and horrible for the Black community. And so I just don't understand at this point how that's going to move something forward. But we'll have more talk on it. Appreciate everybody's time tonight.
Thanks, Kenny and Glenn. So like my counterpart said, hey, listen, man, you guys got to vote in November. It's up to you guys, red or blue, R or D. It's up to you. You make your own choices. But having us gone over the details, hopefully we informed you a little bit, gave you a little bit of feedback, gave you a little better understanding of who to choose. Bring my counterparts back in real quick. We got Kenny and Glenn. We're going to say good night. We hope you all have a good night. God bless everyone for tuning in. We appreciate it all. Any last sentence, anything, fellas, before we go?
No, just reading some of the comments, man. You guys are awesome. We love you guys. Thanks, everybody.
Final report card, Kenny, 3.4. Glennon 2.8. So that's passing the state of Maryland.
He's able to play football in both leagues.
Yeah. 2.8 GPA.
All right. Stay washing your hands. Love you.